Hi, I'm Edward Penn. When families tour an assisted living community, they usually ask about the cost, the food, the activities, and the room. Those are important, but they're only part of the picture. As an investor in senior housing and from my past experience as an operator, I've learned that some important signs are not always on the brochure. Here are 6 things I pay attention to that many families may miss. First, the feeling of the building when you walk in. How does it smell? How clean does it feel? Look at the hallways, furniture, flooring, lighting, and overall upkeep. Every senior living community may have occasional odors. That is normal. But if a building consistently feels poorly maintained, it may say something about the daily operation. Second, how the staff greets you. If you have a scheduled appointment, do they know who you are? Do they greet you by name? Do they seem prepared? These small details show how organized the community is. I also watch how staff interact with residents when they are not trying to sell anything. That is often where you see the real culture. Third, ask about staff and management turnover. How long has the executive director, care director, and caregivers worked there? Assisted living is an operating business. The building itself does not provide care. People do. If management keeps changing, it can create instability that residents eventually feel. Also pay attention to whether caregivers seem supported and respected. This is difficult work, often for modest pay. If staff feel valued, that usually shows in how they care for residents. Fourth, check the community's licensing history. In California, you can look up assisted living communities through the Department of Social Services and see complaints or citations. One citation does not automatically mean a community is bad. What matters is the pattern. Are the same complaints showing up again and again? Did the community correct the issue? Repeated problems can be a red flag. Fifth, look past the simple staff to resident ratio. It is a fair question, but not always the best question. A better question is, how many residents actually need care, and how many caregivers are available on each shift, especially overnight? Also ask how they respond to falls, call buttons, medication needs, and changes in health. A good ratio on paper does not mean much if the staff is overwhelmed by the residents' actual needs. Sixth, ask about technology. Senior housing is a large industry, but in many ways, it is still behind on technology. Ask what systems they use for emergency calls, fall detection, digital care records, medication tracking, and communication with families. Technology does not replace good caregivers, but when a community invests in better systems, it may show the operator is trying to improve safety, communication, and the resident experience. At the end of the day, choosing assisted living is not just about the nicest lobby or the lowest price. It is about whether that community can safely and consistently care for your parent with dignity. If you found this helpful, please subscribe. I'll continue sharing practical information about senior housing and assisted living. And if you think there are other important questions families should ask when touring an assisted living community, leave a comment below. Thanks for listening.